Thank you, Minister. Senate will move to question time. Senator Patterson.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is for the Minister for Finance, Senator Gallagher. Yesterday in the Senate you said, and I quote, "The highest spending government was the Howard government." What is the basis for this claim?
Thank you, Senator Patterson. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you very much, and I thank you very much, President, and I thank Senator Patterson for the question. I was advising the Senate that there has been times where, despite what those opposite claim repeatedly in interviews and in here about the level of spending currently and its relation to other periods where it's exceeded that, I was drawing the Senate's attention to that. If I have made an error, I am happy to change that. I will get the figures that I was relying on.
Please resume your seat. Senator Patterson.
To assist the minister, I can table the mid-year fiscal.
No, Senator Patterson, resume your seat. Resume your seat. Order. 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 If you want to do something different, you seek leave. Minister. And also, you interrupted the minister. Minister Gallagher, do you wish to continue?
Yes, I'm happy to continue. Thank you. I was responding to claims that have been made by people in this place around the level of spending, and there have been times where it has exceeded the level it is now, and those opposite failed to recognise that. Now, this government has taken responsible decisions around spending. We have made savings to the budget. We have contained spending growth, despite periods of time that we're going through now where there is pressures on the budget coming from areas like defence, NDIS, healthcare, aged care, all coming at the budget, that we have managed to responsibly manage the budget, find savings where we can, and return money to budget for budget repair to pay down the Liberal debt that we inherited, and to make sure that we are finding room for the investments that the Australian people rely upon. That is responsible budget management. I'm proud to be a member of a government that takes the approach we have, not the slash-and-burn approach that those opposite like to refer to, or the savings that they sought in the election campaign, but a responsible approach that seeks to ensure that services are funded appropriately while managing the budget appropriately as well.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Patterson, first supplementary.
Thanks, President. Can I seek leave to table the mid-year and economic fiscal outlook from the Departments of Treasury and Finance, which have the historical Australian government data
thank you, Senator
spending.
Patterson. So you simply ask to seek leave? Because you were asking me a question.
I am,
so,
yes.
Okay, is leave granted?
They're government documents. You don't need to table them. This is, in an effort to distract from his involvement in leadership shenanigans. He's now trying to create. Now trying to create a stunt. But we all know who you are.
Resume your seat. Resume your seat. I will ask again, Senator Patterson, if leave is granted. Is leave granted? Is leave granted for documents to be tabled? If there's no objection, So, thank you. Thank you, Senator Patterson. Senator Patterson, first supplementary.
First supplementary. Thank you, President. Minister, in the most recent financial year, government spending was 26.2% of GDP. Can you name a single financial year in which the Howard government spent more?
Thank you, Senator Patterson.
Thank you,
Minister
President. Sorry, I've just been trying to get some advice. My comments yesterday, I do need to correct the record. My comments should have said the Morrison government, not the Howard government. Well, no.
Order.
So,
Minister, please resume your seat. Minister, please resume your seat. I'll wait. I will wait for the chamber to come to order. 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 I'm waiting for the Senate to come to order. Senator Bragg. Senator Bragg, withdraw that comment.
Oh.
No, that isn't how you withdraw, Senator Bragg.
My apologies. I withdraw.
Thank you. And I would. Order. Order. Senator Watt. We're just 6 minutes or so into question time, and the disrespect in this chamber, particularly to me, is unacceptable. Now, I'm going to call the minister to answer Senator Patterson's first supplementary, and I expect there to be silence. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, President, and I would like to apologise to the Senate that I wasn't aware until Senator Patterson's question that I'd got the names of the former Prime Minister Howard and former Prime Minister Morrison wrong. But the substance of the point I was making at the time was that, that the Morrison government was the highest spending government. The Howard government was actually the highest taxing government, and that was the mistake I made yesterday. I take my responsibility seriously, so I've corrected the record, but the substance of the point I was making was correct.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Patterson, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. To be fair to the minister, she's not the only minister who made this mistake. Senator Ayres on Sky News yesterday also repeated this incorrect claim. Minister, how, as the Minister for Finance, are you making such a fundamental error about Australian government statistics, which you publish, and why did you not correct the record earlier?
I'm not calling the minister yet. Senator Wong. Senator Wong, Senator Cash. Senator Wong. Senator Wong. Order, particularly on my right. Senator Patterson has, of course, to be afforded to have his question asked in silence. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you. Well, I've explained that I've got the names incorrect and I've corrected the record. And I would ask the same of Senator Patterson every time he goes out and does an interview where he misleads by saying by not acknowledging that fact. And so, if that's this government.
Order. Minister Gallagher, please resume your seat. Order. Order. Senators Watt and McAllister. Minister, when those on my right are quiet, I will call the minister again. Minister Gallagher.
So just to be clear, the highest spending government was the Morrison government. The highest taxing government was the Howard government. And those opposite in the election campaign wanted to tax more, spend more, have deeper deficits in order to fund their nuclear-powered power stations. That is the offering from the last election from those opposite. They have zero economic credibility, and we will continue to manage the budget responsibly.
The time for answering has expired. Senator Walker.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. The Albanese Labor government is united and focused on delivering cost-of-living relief, quality health care, helping more Australians into home ownership and cheaper and cleaner energy. What is the government delivering to help Australians get ahead?
Thank you, Senator Walker. Minister Wong.
Thank you, and I thank Senator Walker for not only that question, but for her strong advocacy for the people of South Australia, particularly regional South Australians and those of the Fleurieu, where she's from. And like her, I think we would both acknowledge the bushfire that's been raging at Deep Creek since Sunday, and thank all the CFS firefighters who have been working tirelessly to contain the blaze which came so close to Cape Jervis. The question I'm asked is, how is our government delivering for Australians? Well, we've seen high wages, the lowest average unemployment rate of any government in the last 50 years, with 1.2 million jobs created, the smallest gender pay gap on record, cost of living support, helping more Australians into homes. Senator Bragg, please listen to this, because in my home state of South Australia, we saw the Prime Minister in Adelaide announcing a landmark agreement with the Malinauskas Labor government to unlock 17,000 new homes, including 7,000 for first home buyers. Now, on top of that, we've opened 8 Medicare urgent care clinics across the state, from Mount Gambier to Elizabeth and Victor Harbour, delivered $2 billion in additional public hospital funding, $500 million for Flinders Medical Centre and the REPAT in partnership with Premier Malinauskas and his government. South Australians have also saved around $150 million on cheaper medicines, also opposed by you. Every taxpayer has received a cut, with more to come, and all of this delivered beside the trenchant opposition of the Liberals, the Nationals and One Nation, the three parties of the right, all lined up to prevent. I'll take that interjection. Careful if we get together, says the Leader of the Opposition. Well, I mean, we've seen in this chamber what that might look like, Senator Cash. We've seen in this chamber what that might look like.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator Walker, first supplementary.
Australians rightly want a government that takes real action on climate change while continuing to help with cost of living pressures. What action is the Albanese Labor government taking to delivering important cost of living relief to Australians while investing in cheaper and cleaner energy?
Thank you, Senator Walker. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Well, Australia is already a leader in rooftop solar, a world leader. And thanks to the Albanese government's Cheaper Home Batteries program, we are also making strides with battery storage. And we've taken around 30% of home batteries to permanently cut power bills. Over 200,000 cheaper home batteries have been installed across Australia since the 1st of July. And we are very proud in South Australia that we lead the nation with the most installations per capita, with more than 26,000 installations. And this comes at a time when, with renewable energy hitting record highs. This government has brought a record 7 dispatchable gigawatts of new energy supply into the pipeline. Of course, those opposite might like to know, with their attention to facts and details, how many gigawatts, equivalent gigawatts, came on when the former coalition was in government. Just one. Just one. So we are bringing on more power and investing in renewable energy.
Senator Walker, second supplementary.
Australians want and deserve a government that focuses on the issues they care about, not division and disunity. How is the Albanese Labor government delivering, and what stands in the way?
Thank you, Senator Walker. Minister Wong.
Thank you. And I'm almost tempted to invite Senator Sterle to take my second supplementary, because he'd be funnier than I'm sure. He'd be funnier than I'm sure. And he and I both know, in fact we all know, just with what energy and determination those opposite are fighting each other. What energy and determination. I mean, we've seen energy that they bring to opposing cost of living relief, energy rebates, tax cuts, higher wages, are all opposed. But now their energy is directed at each other. Their energy is directed at each other. Only if their energy could possibly be directed to considering what the Australian people want. But again, if I just maybe reference my home state of South Australia again, the division and disunity that we see here is very familiar to those of us from South Australia, because we have seen decades of infighting amongst the South Australian Liberals, and of course they rolled their state leader just months out from an election.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator Chandler.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Defence, Senator Wong. The President of RSL Tasmania, John Hardy, has described the Albanese government's announcement of a Tasmanian defence asset fire sale as, and I quote, a catastrophic strategic error that will stand as the largest withdrawal of defence presence from any Australian state since Federation. He went on to say that such a withdrawal fundamentally alters Tasmania's role in Australia's defence posture and sends a clear signal that Tasmania is no longer regarded as a state of defence significance. Minister, do you agree with Mr Hardy's assessment?
Thank you, Senator Chandler. Minister Wong.
Well, I would always treat anyone who served our country with great respect for their service. but we respectfully disagree with the assertions you've just made in this place. The defence, we are undertaking a significant reform of the defence estate, and we're doing that to ensure it is fit for purpose and to ensure that we can provide the Australian Defence Force with the facilities and capabilities it needs to keep Australians safe. And what the audit, which was undertaken and very carefully considered, has highlighted that many defence properties simply aren't fit for purpose. They're not fit for purpose. And that's why this reform is necessary. We do have sites which are vacant, that we do have sites which are underutilised, and those sites are costing millions of dollars to maintain. And that they don't, because of that, they're not able to contribute in the way that the country needs to ADF capabilities. So I appreciate that this is a challenging reform, that it does mean change, but this is about making sure that Defence Estate is fit for purpose and provides the Australian Defence Force and the men and women who serve in it with the facilities and capabilities needed to keep Australians safe.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Chandler, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. Defence's own figures show that the Tasmanian sites on Labor's fire sale list are used by around 300 reservists and 450 cadets. Nationally, up to 3,300 reservists will be impacted by this sale, around 15% of the reserve workforce. Minister, how can the government claim to strengthen defence readiness while selling off the very facilities that train our future force, who already do so much for our country?
Thank you, Senator Chandler. Minister Wong.
Well, again, I reject the characterisation that's been used by the senator, and I hope she's had the opportunity to read the audit which the Finance Minister and the Defence Minister released. That audit does make clear that many defence properties are no longer fit for purpose to defend Australia. That's a simple proposition. And there was a very comprehensive process gone through to look at the many defence aspects of or locations of Defence Estate and to judge it against those criteria. Can I also indicate that the government did ask Defence to undertake a comprehensive assessment of the potential impacts upon personnel, including reservists, and all defence personnel, including reservists, will be transitioned to alternative sites.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Chandler, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Minister, can the Albanese government guarantee that as a result of these estate sales, there will be no net reduction in defence jobs, reserve opportunities and defence training in Tasmania?
Thank you, Senator Chandler. Minister Wong.
Tasmania has an historic and high level of commitment to military service, and we are committed to maintaining to recruitment and retention of personnel in Tasmania. Defence will retain a strong presence in Tasmania, including through the consolidation of the Burnie Training Depot and the Devonport Training Depot to a new multi-user depot, which builds on a recent investments in the Tri-Service Cadet Depot in Launceston, estimated to be completed by 2027. And, of course, builds on major investments such as the upgrade and maintenance of facilities at Anglesea Barracks.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Shoebridge.
Thanks, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Attorney-General. On the 12th of June 2023, Senator Watt, representing the Attorney-General, told the Senate that then Justice Brereton will resign his appointment as an Assistant Inspector-General ADF before taking up his role as the Commissioner of the NAC. On the 5th of June 2025, the NAC CEO told the Senate committee that Commissioner Brereton had resigned his appointment with the IG-ADF in or about May 2023. However, on the 3rd of December 2025, the actual IG-ADF, James Gaynor, in an answer on notice to another Senate committee, said Major General Brereton never provided written confirmation of their May 2023 conversation in which he stated he would resign as an Assistant AGF effective 1 July 2023. So, Minister, has Commissioner Brereton resigned as an Assistant IG-ADF, and if so, when and how?
Thank you, Senator Shoebridge. Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and thank Senator Shoebridge for his question. I'm aware that he's taken quite a bit of interest in this issue in all of the previous estimates hearings, and one suspects that they'll be subject to questions next week in estimates. I, not being the minister responsible for this area, I can't answer your question directly, Senator Shoebridge, but I will consult with the Attorney General and come back as quickly as I can to respond to your question.
Thank you, Ministers. Senator Shoebridge, I haven't called you. Senator Shoebridge, first supplementary.
Thanks, President. Well, that says a lot, doesn't it? They have no idea whether or not he's resigned. Minister, a bombshell letter from the Attorney-General to Commissioner Brereton sent in October of last year pointed out repeated failures from Commissioner Brereton to disclose his moonlighting with the IGADF to the Senate, to the former AG and to the current AG. Given this, does Commissioner Brereton seriously have the confidence of the Albanese government to head the National Anti-Corruption Commission?
Thank you, Senator Shoebridge. Minister Farrell.
Yes.
Senator Shoebridge, second supplementary.
Minister, you don't know if he's actually still the assistant IGADF. You've got no advice from the Attorney-General about her bombshell letter where she panned him for failure to disclose. The ongoing failures of Commissioner Brereton to deal with his own perceived and actual conflicts of interest, his failure to come even close to transparency with your government or the parliament, is a rapidly eroding trust of Australians in the NAC. Why can't you see that, and why can't you do the right thing and sack him? Bring the motion and sack him.
Thank you, Senator Shoebridge. Minister Farrell.
Well, with due respect, Senator Shoebridge, I directly answered your last question. Well, you asked a question. You asked a question. Did we have confidence? Continue to have confidence in the head of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, and I answered it as simply as I possibly could in the most direct way. I don't accept your proposition. This government did act on the issue of integrity. We have appointed Mr Brereton to the job. He continues to do his work in that regard. He has made it clear that he is not involved in these other activities, and the government.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator Ciccone.
Thank you, President. Happy Thursday. Now, my question is to my good friend and Minister for Trade and Tourism, Senator Farrell. Yes, he is. Now, since the Albanese Labor government was first elected, great strides have been made in opening many opportunities for Australian businesses into overseas markets, and this has included securing a comprehensive trade agreement with the United Arab Emirates. Could the minister please update the Senate on the many benefits of this trade deal with the UAE and how the Albanese government has helped the many Australian businesses weather the storm of dramatic changes to global trade?
Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and thank my good friend Senator Ciccone for that question. And of course, this is in an area where I have some expertise.
We like each other.
So the Albanese Labor government, the Albanese Labor government is committed to supporting free and fair trade. After all, 1 in 4 Australian jobs relate to trade. And with this in mind, we've been hard at work to ensure that our world-class industries are best placed to not just weather the storm, but to grow and succeed. And we've been building stronger and deeper trading relationships across the globe. And this approach is paying off, Madam President. Last financial year, Australia's total trade reached a record $1.3 trillion. I'll repeat that for Senator Shoebridge. A record $1.3 trillion. And it didn't just happen. We've created new opportunities and built on existing relationships to deliver for Australian businesses and their employees. Our most recent major achievement was the implementation of a trade agreement with the United Arab Emirates on the 1st of October last year. Last week, I returned from a trip from the UAE where I led the largest delegation ever to showcase the best of our produce at the Gulf Export Expo in Dubai with former Member of Parliament Mr Christopher Pyne. The Australian Pavilion was a beehive, beehive of activity with buyers seeking to take advantage of purchasing the best food in the world at competitive prices thanks to our trade deal. Notably, our beef exports to the UAE have doubled.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering has expired. Senator Ciccone, first supplementary.
Thanks, President, and can I thank my good friend and Minister for that wonderful answer. Now, market diversification has been central to the Albanese government's trade agenda, and a great deal has been achieved over the past 4 years to grow Australian businesses, support local jobs and help sell our world-class goods and services to the world. Could the Minister please provide an update on what further opportunities the government is opening for the many Australian farmers, businesses and workers?
Thank you, Senator Ciccone. Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and can I thank my good friend Senator Ciccone for his first supplementary question. And despite the significant trade achievements over the past 4 years, there is more that can be done. This includes securing a comprehensive trade deal with the European Union. The EU is our largest trading partner without a trade agreement. It's a high-income market of 450 million people. Concluding a deal will complete the last major piece in Australia's network of free trade agreements. I look forward to meeting my European counterpart soon to close the gaps on the very few remaining issues. And I'm confident a deal can be done and will be done, which would require a better offer by the EU on agricultural market access.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Ciccone, second supplementary.
Thanks again, President, and thanks again to my good mate and Minister for that answer. Now, Minister, creating export opportunities for Australian farmers, businesses and workers has clearly been a priority for this government. What action has the Albanese government taken to support and promote Australian world-class exports of goods and services to the world?
Thank you, Senator Ciccone. Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and can I thank my good friend Senator Ciccone for his second supplementary question. And with an increasing level of global economic uncertainty, new export strategies are required to stay resilient and competitive. The Albanese Labor government is delivering on our election commitment to work with industry to grow and diversify into overseas markets. Recently, I announced 40 peak industry bodies would join the Trade Diversification Network as part of the government's $50 million Accessing New Markets initiative.
Thank you, Minister. I understand Senator Thorpe is unavailable and has made her question available to Senator Whish-Wilson.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Senator representing the Minister for Resources. In December last year, the Albanese government opened up expressions of interest for 25,000 square kilometres of ocean in the Otway Basin. Is the Minister aware that this summer we saw extreme weather events that completely shut down the Great Ocean Road, from catastrophic fires through to flash flooding that washed holidaymakers out into the ocean? Does the Minister think it's acceptable to be giving away our oceans to oil and gas companies in a time of climate emergency when we should be rapidly transitioning to renewable energy?
Thank you, Senator Whish-Wilson. Minister Ayres.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Whish-Wilson, for that question. And I just reflect on some of the previous answers and discussions about friendship and the way that we ought to think about these things. There's a lot of interest over there, I think, on about these issues of friendship. I mean, I watched a group of friends at that house before that funeral, and I saw Senator Patterson, looking like a bank robber who pretends to be a security guard when the cops arrive.
I'm assuming you're asking me to draw him to the question, and I intended to do that before you stood. Thank you, Senator Whish-Wilson. Senator Whish-Wilson, it's not a time for a statement. Seriously. Minister Ayres, I draw you to Senator Whish-Wilson's question.
Yeah, thank you very much, President and Senator Whish-Wilson, for drawing me back. As you would know, Senator, that we disagree as a government with the approach that you would advocate, which in our view would wreck the prospect of progress in international climate negotiations, makes good slogans and good T-shirts, but in no way advances the position on climate or on energy. 52% of Australia's oceans already protected, working towards highly protecting 30%. And that does not mean, and it should not mean, that Australia's exports in terms of gas, or the need for us to provide gas for industry, much of which means lower emissions, much of which means sustainable Australian industry. The idea that we would take the approach advocated by you, bad for the environment, bad on global emissions, bad on climate progress,
Thank you, Minister.
and bad on
jobs. The time for
jobs.
answering has expired. Senator Whish-Wilson, first.
Minister, apart from the extreme weather events on Great Ocean Road, which have been linked directly to climate change, they were record events, we've also seen a record heatwave, 2 now, in South East Australia this summer. How are we going to transition off fossil fuels to get emissions as low as we need to get them to protect our families and future generations from a climate breakdown if you keep opening up more oil and gas fields in the ocean?
Thank you, Senator Whish-Wilson. Minister Ayres.
Well, this is the difference between practical action that actually makes a difference on climate and energy questions and sloganeering to no effect, that comes from the Greens political party. I mean, adopting the position that you advocate would be disastrous for the climate, would be disastrous in emissions terms, would be disastrous for Australian industry, and would mean that we lose the framework that is critical to delivering these things that Australia is providing a leadership role in. Releasing new acreage helps address...
Senator Ayres, please resume your seat. Minister Wong.
President,
Minister Wong, please resume your seat. Senator Orman-Payne, whilst I haven't called you directly, it was very clear on the 3 or 4 times that I called you to order, I was meaning you. While I had the Leader of the Government on her feet, you continued to interject. You are not in a debate with me, Senator Orman-Payne. I've called you to order. That is a direct order. Minister Wong.
Dealt with it.
Please continue. Senator Ayres.
If you actually cared genuinely about the progress in climate, you would adopt the position that this government has adopted. If you actually wanted to make progress instead of a sort of constant quest for emotional self-fulfilment, you would support the government's approach.
Your response is finished. Senator, my goodness. Senator Whish-Wilson, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Minister, just southwest of this 25,000 square kilometres of ocean you're going to open up, off the coast of Adelaide, we have a dead ocean. from a toxic algal bloom that has been linked to warming oceans, that have been linked to rising emissions, that have been linked to fossil fuels. What have you got to say to communities in South Australia that you are opening up new areas of oil and gas exploration in the oceans in a time of climate emergency? I can't work out whether you are deliberately misinforming the Senate around climate change or whether you have a plan to properly reduce emissions and transition to renewable energy.
Your question has expired. Minister Ayres.
Well, what this government is doing, Senator Whish-Wilson, is transforming our electricity system. Supporting, just
Senator
recently
McKim.
with $5 billion, our industries to move to lower-cost electricity in the manufacturing processes. We are moving this government from what it was under the sort of previous rabble to a position of global leadership on climate and energy and industry and electrification. And we are investing. It's a part-time Pauline over there. I know disagrees with it, but we are investing in regional jobs, and regional industry.
Please resume your seat. I have the senator on his feet. I'm just going to wait, Senator McKim. I haven't called you Senator Whish-Wilson because I'm actually waiting for your colleagues to come to order. Perhaps you can assist. Senator Whish-Wilson.
Thank you, President. A point of order on irrelevance. Are you really going to say that to communities in South Australia that are suffering a toxic algal bloom?
Senator Whish-Wilson. Senator Smith. If you're calling a point of order, I expect you to make a point of order, not make a statement. I don't know how many times I've reminded the Senate you don't stand up and make statements. Minister Ayres, please continue.
It's the old barefoot investor over there. Can't see a disaster that you don't want to politicise. I can't see a problem like this problem in South. What you get from our government is progress and effort and a coherent political framework.
Senator Ayres. Senator Canavan.
President, my question is to the Minister representing the Prime Minister, Senator Wong. I refer the Minister to the government's decision this week to slash interest rates for large companies that borrow from the government's $5 billion Net Zero Fund. The Net Zero Fund is funded by the National Reconstruction Fund, which has an investment mandate to charge borrowers a rate 2 to 3% above the 5-year government bond rate. However, this week the government has announced that investments from the Net Zero Fund will only have to achieve an interest rate 1% below the 5-year government bond rate. That is, in effect, a 3 to 4 percentage point cut in interest rates for investors in large-scale wind and solar projects. As the Australian Financial Review reported on this decision, Labor is in effect willing to lose money on renewables projects. In the very week that Australian families are having to pay more on their home loans thanks to Labor's reckless spending, why is the Labor government giving an interest rate cut to billion-dollar companies that invest in solar and wind projects?
Thank you, Senator Canavan. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. I think Senator Canavan's position on investment in renewables, in decarbonisation, in energy efficiency, in low-emissions technologies is well known, and he and I disagree vehemently on these issues, but I will acknowledge that he has remained consistent over many years on this. We believe on this side of the chamber that it is necessary for us to drive decarbonisation. We believe it is necessary to drive energy efficiency. And we also believe it is necessary to try and scale up domestic manufacturing in renewable and low-emissions technology. That is, jobs and economic activity in Australia, the capability and the capacity to manufacture low emissions and renewable technologies here. And there's a number of reasons for that, which are very much economic, not ideological, Senator Canavan. We know that the global market is transitioning, and if you're serious about wanting to make sure that our children grow up in an economy where we can deliver products and services to the world, where we can be part of supply chains which will be valued in a very different global economy, then we have to transform the Australian economy.
Minister, please resume your seat. Senator Canavan.
Thank you, Madam President. Just on a point of order on relevance, I have given the Minister 90 seconds, but the question is, she hasn't gone to why are they getting a cut, why are the renewable projects getting a cut, but homeowners aren't.
I believe the minister is being relevant, and I'll continue to listen carefully to her response. Minister.
Well, I thought I was outlining the public policy rationale and the jobs rationale and the economic rationale for why we believe that leveraging more private sector activity in these areas is a good thing for our country and a good thing for Australian jobs, and that's what the government is doing.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Canavan, first supplementary.
Thank you, Madam President. This week, the government's Clean Energy Finance Corporation has announced that it is funding lower interest rates on purchases of Hyundai and Kia fully electric vehicles. As the CFC stated, and I quote, eligible customers could save a minimum of 0.5% up to 1% on their finance costs across Hyundai and Kia. Why is the government cutting interest rates for cars made in Korea, while the government's reckless spending is driving up interest rates for Australian families who just want to buy a home made in Australia?
Thank you,
Why?
Senator Canavan.
Why?
Order! Order! Order on my right. Order. Senator Watts. Senator McAllister. Senator Ayres. Order on my right. I should not have to name senators. Minister Wong.
Well, first, it is true we no longer manufacture cars in Australia. And thank you for reminding us of that, because we in South Australia will never forget Joe Hockey standing on the floor of that chamber and daring the car industry to leave. Daring the car industry to leave and being so proud. You know, that was in your Productivity Commission phase. Being so proud to be the Liberal government that stopped working with the car firms, the manufacturers, to ensure we no longer have car manufacturing in this country.
Oh, sorry, Senator Canavan. I'll just wait for there to be order in the Senate. Order. Senator Henderson, I'm waiting for you. Senator Canavan.
Order on relevance. The question is about a government-announced program this week, the day after the interest rate rise, this week. So the day before. Sorry,
thank
day before.
you, Senator Canavan.
But the minister's going to things that happened 10 years ago or more.
The minister is being relevant to your question, and I'll continue to listen carefully. Minister.
I wish we lived in a country which still made cars and had the capacity to produce electric vehicles in Australia, and so that we would be in a position where we could provide tax breaks for Australians to buy Australian cars, but that is not the case, and we all know whose responsibility that was.
It's time, Senator Canavan, so I'm going to invite you to put your second supplementary.
Yes, I was waiting for that. Thank you, Madam President. Minister, the government's—
I'm sorry, Senator Canavan. Just a moment. Please start again, Senator
Thank you, Madam
Canavan.
President. The government's net zero low-interest deals for big companies and electric vehicles are pushing up government spending, creating inflationary pressures and leading to higher interest rates. How much is the government spending on its net zero agenda, and how much is that increasing interest rates for Australians who would just like to stay in their own home?
Minister Wong.
Well, the problem with Senator Canavan's question is an example of an ideological position which—
Minister Wong, I'm sorry. The interjections across the chamber are disorderly. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. The difficulty with Senator Canavan's questions is they are an example of ideology getting in the way of economic logic. As Senator Ayres described, I think it was yesterday or the day before, he talked about the way in which the government was ensuring jobs and investment in one of the projects in his portfolio.
Senator Canavan. And Senator Ayres, perhaps you go outside and have a chat. Minister Wong, please continue.
As I was saying, Senator Ayres described very eloquently yesterday or the day before the way in which investment by government was ensuring jobs in Gladstone. And Senator, you know, because you are an economist, just as your government invested in the CFC, you also know that utilising government funds to leverage private sector investment is all about Australian jobs.
Thank you, Minister. The time for answering. Senator Canavan and Senator Ayres, the running commentary needs to stop. Senator Hanson.
Thank you very much. My question is to the Minister representing the Treasurer, Minister Gallagher. The Prime Minister promised 100% renewables would deliver the cheapest form of power. The Capacity Investment Scheme is a key part of Labor's reckless energy plan that shifts the costs and risk of wind and solar onto taxpayers. Australian families and businesses are already paying soaring energy prices. If Labor is so confident this is the cheapest approach, it should be able to state the cost clearly and publicly. Can the Minister please inform the Senate of the total cost of Labor's Capacity Investment Scheme in the 25-26 budget, and to assist the Minister, is it within the quantified contingent liabilities?
Thank you, Senator Hanson. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. Just a point of order. My recollection is, and I might be wrong, Senator Hanson, is that the Capacity Investment Scheme is in the climate portfolio, not the Treasury portfolio, so you would need to address your question to a different minister.
The question's been directed to Minister Gallagher. Senator Hanson.
I am addressing it to the Minister Gallagher because it is to do with the Treasury and it's about the budget papers.
That's your entitlement to do that. Minister Wong.
With respect, President, the Westminster system works on ministers who are responsible under the administrative arrangements for portfolios and agencies in their area. So it is not unreasonable for us to request that the minister who is responsible for the agency, if I'm right, and I think I am, is this minister to whom it's addressed.
As you'd be aware, Senator Wong, I've invited Senator Hanson. I've given her the opportunity to redirect her question. She has informed me that it's directed to Minister Gallagher. I will invite Minister Gallagher to answer the question in her capacity and in her portfolio areas. So I will leave it at that, Senator Hanson. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, President. I'm just wondering, Senator Hanson, if you could repeat the last bit of your question. I just couldn't hear the exact question. I heard contingent liabilities, but just a bit around that.
Thank you, Senator Hanson. Wait for the call. Go now. Thank you.
The last part of the question is, can the Minister please inform the Senate of the total cost of Labor's Capacity Investment Scheme in the 25-26 budget, and to assist the Minister, it is within the quantified contingent liabilities.
Thank you, Senator Hanson. Minister.
Thank you. Well, I don't have the budget papers with me, but it would be in the contingent liabilities, and it would probably also feature in the statement of risks as well. So it is fully accounted for. There is a review of the Capacity Investment Scheme that's currently underway, but the costs associated with it, and I'm happy to come back and provide. I don't have that document in front of me, sorry, Senator Hanson, but I'm very happy to provide that number to you. But it is accounted for and was accounted for in MyEFO, and it has been an important part. If you talk to big emitters, it has been an important part of our response to addressing climate change, to reducing emissions and to supporting the economy as that transition occurs. It's a worldwide energy transition that's happening, and we have to respond to it. I know there's different views about.
Thank you, Minister. The time for us. I beg your pardon.
Oh, I was going to say,
obviously
just getting started. When we came to government, 24 out of 28 of the ageing coal-fired power stations had announced they were closing within the decade. 8 had already closed, including Hazelwood, because they were old and at the end of their lives. And so rebuilding the energy grid and supporting big emitters with reducing their emissions is a necessity. We have to provide an energy grid that works for the future, and the reality is the infrastructure we had, the policies we had that were under the former government weren't delivering that change, and the government has worked across the economy to support that transition. I will come back on the exact figure. The review is underway and the books do account for it.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Hanson for a supplementary.
Thank you very much. Well, Minister, I'm very happy to hear that you intend to give me those figures on the capacity investment scheme, because the Labor's capacity investment scheme listed in the budget papers as not for publication. So, Minister, you are keeping the true cost of Labor's 100% wind and solar energy strategy a secret from the Australian people. Well, you've just told me you're quite happy to give me the figures, and I want those. That's wonderful. So, if you're not going to come up with it under the budget papers, if it's supposed to be,
thank you, Senator
not for
Hanson.
publication,
your
why?
Time has expired. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you. And I was trying to assist Senator Hanson. I answered your question. It is factored into the budget. It is contained in the contingent liabilities. There is a review underway. Where figures are commercially sensitive, we can't release them, but I am happy to provide you with whatever information I can around the capacity investment scheme. 23 capacity investment scheme agreements have been executed with projects representing 7 gigawatts of capacity, and negotiations are continuing with 33 projects. The CIS, the Capacity Investment Scheme, is delivering at least 40 gigawatts of new renewable and clean dispatchable capacity to replace capacity from the ageing and increasingly unreliable coal plants, as well as place downward pressure on electricity prices and help deliver the Australian government's renewable energy target by 2030.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Hanson, second supplementary.
Thank you very much. Minister, I'm asking you to tell us how much it's costing the taxpayers with this for wind, solar and batteries. That's what we have to know. Is it 50 billion, 60 billion? How much is it costing the taxpayers? Why are you keeping the secret from the taxpayers? Because they're footing the bill for this. The taxpayers have a right to know. Now, you said you'd give me figures, so I'd be interested to see what figures you intend to give me.
Thank you, Senator Hanson. Minister Gallagher.
I am explaining to you, Senator Hanson, that I will try and provide you with whatever information I can. Where those investments are commercially sensitive or not for publication, of course that is a constraint. But I can also give you figures on what is actually happening with driving or building the new energy system here. I mean, this is about making sure energy remains affordable in light of the fact of our current ageing infrastructure, including those coal-fired power stations that are no longer providing the energy that we need. That's the reality. They're closing, they're ageing, they're breaking down. I mean, I remember even just a few years ago, if you had a heat wave, people had to try and manage their electricity output. Because we have put in place new energy into the grid, the energy system is a lot more stable than it was.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Marielle Smith.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Education, my good friend, Senator Walsh. How is the Albanese Labor government's historic Better and Fairer Schools agreement supporting students, families and teachers heading back to school for a new school year? How are these agreements delivering stronger public schools, more support in classrooms and better outcomes for students? And how is it helping families with back-to-school cost of living pressures?
Thank you, Senator Smith. Minister Walsh.
Well, thank you, friend, for the question. And schools are back across the country, and many children have had their first ever day of school, including your gorgeous daughter, Zara. And we wish them all the best. There are relieved parents, some nervous kids, and teachers back in classrooms, prepped and ready to go for the year ahead. And as someone who proudly comes from a family of teachers, I know what this time of year feels like for them. They go back knowing that teaching isn't just a job, it is a calling. It's about giving all children every chance to reach their potential. That's why the Albanese Labor government is united in our commitment to our public schools. For the first time ever, we have agreements to fully fund every public school student in Australia to 100% of their fair funding level. Through the Better and Fairer Schools agreements, we're delivering an additional $16.5 billion in Commonwealth funding to public schools over the next decade, the biggest new injection of Commonwealth funding to public schools ever. This investment means stronger public schools, more support in classrooms and better outcomes for students, particularly those who need extra help. And it also matters for families. Back-to-school costs are real, and properly funded public schools help ease pressure on household budgets while making sure every child gets a fair go, no matter where they live or what their parents earn. And none of this works without our nation's teachers. They do one of the most important jobs in this country, and our government is backing them with fairer funding, better support and a clear focus on what helps kids succeed. We are united in delivering stronger public schools and better outcomes for Australian kids.
Thank you, Minister Walsh. Senator Smith, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. The Better and Fairer Schools agreements are being rolled out with more funding this year for Australian schools. How is this funding tied to real, evidence-based reforms in classrooms this year, particularly to lift reading, writing and numeracy outcomes for those students in our communities who need the most support?
Thank you, Senator Smith. Minister Walsh.
Thank you, President. Well, as a government, we are proud to be fully funding every public school in Australia to 100% of their fair funding level. This record new investment is tied to reform, and that reform is already being delivered. We're rolling out Year 1 phonics checks nationally, so children who are struggling to read are identified early and supported before gaps widen. We know this works because we've seen the improvements in your home state, Senator, in South Australia, where phonics checks have been in place for several years. We're applying that same evidence-based approach nationally. We're also strengthening maths in the early years with a new early years numeracy check. Because, again, we are united in building strong foundations for Australia's children.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Smith, second supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. You're a great friend of public schools and therefore a great friend of mine. Why is the Albanese Labor government's approach of strengthening and fully funding public schools so important, and what does that mean for families facing cost of living pressures?
Thank you, Senator Smith. Minister Walsh.
Well, thanks, mate, for the question. And we're united in our belief that education sets people up for life. We know strong public schools matter for families and for the future of this country. And the contrast with the opposition could not be clearer. When they were last in government, they ripped $30 billion out of public schools, and that is a stain on them that will never wash off. Since then, they've opposed just about every cost of living measure this government has brought forward to help families. On this side of the chamber, we take a different approach. We are fixing the system that they broke. We are united in our commitment to our public schools and to every student in our public schools. So while you are all focused on yourselves and your iPhones right now, we are united in our focus on Australia's future.
Thank you, Senator Walsh. Senator Ruston.
Thank you very much, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Health and Ageing, Senator McAllister. My office has been contacted by John, whose father is living with dementia and has been waiting for a residential aged care place for more than 12 months. After being hospitalised, John's father was deemed unsafe to return home and remained stuck in the Modrip Hospital in South Australia for 47 days, costing his family more than $3,800, as well as the taxpayers thousands of dollars more, and taking a serious toll on his mental health. John told my office that his father was not alone. An entire ward occupied by older Australians waiting for aged care placements was what his father shared. Minister, will your government take full responsibility for this national aged care crisis, which is leaving thousands of older Australians, like John's dad, stranded in hospitals?
Thank you, Senator Ruston. Minister McAllister.
Thank you very much, President, and thank you, Senator Ruston, for the question. And thinking about John and his father, I understand how challenging it is for people who are facing these circumstances and who are, in many ways, facing a very significant change of life. This is a complicated and very long-standing issue, as you will understand, Senator Ruston, in our aged care system, and those pressures are being felt particularly acutely in some regions. So the Commonwealth has responsibility for the aged care system, and we are working very closely with the states and territories who, as you know, have responsibility for the hospital system to manage the issue. Of course, our view is that every day that an older Australian spends in a hospital when they should be in a more appropriate care environment puts a lot of pressure on those families, and I'm sure that John and his family and his father are feeling that, but it also puts pressure on the hospital system. This system wasn't fit for purpose for older people when we came to government. That is exactly why, Senator Ruston, that we are rebuilding our aged care system from the ground up.
3 times I've called you.
To make sure that people are getting the care that they need, where and when they need it. And, Senator Ruston, we were grateful for the constructive approach that the Coalition took to that work. But we observe also that this was work that could have been done in the period when you were in government. And we are moving very quickly to make up ground for the work that should have been done in the decade that you were in office. We are essentially attempting to do a decade's worth of work in aged care in just a few years.
Before I call you, Senator Ruston, you need to stop the running commentary. First supplementary.
My office has been contacted by Ron, who lives with Parkinson's disease and is cared for full-time by his wife, but she's now experiencing serious mobility issues herself. Ron was approved for a Level 4 home care package last October, but has been told he faces a 10 to 12-month wait despite the urgency of their situation. Minister, do you accept the excessive home care wait times caused by your government's decision to ration care are causing incredible distress to older Australians, as well as placing more pressure on our hospital system?
Thank you, Senator Ruston. Minister McAllister.
Well, thank you again, President, and thank you, Senator Ruston. As you know, we are making a substantial investment, backed by legislation, to roll out further packages so that families can get the support that they need. People whose needs are urgent are being prioritised, Senator Ruston, and I am advised that they are being offered care much sooner. There are longer wait times, but we are pleasingly expecting to see some of those come down.
Senator Ruston, second supplementary.
Yesterday, Labor health ministers in South Australia and New South Wales revealed that 1,200 older Australians in New South Wales and 363 in South Australia are currently stuck in hospitals waiting for aged care placements. Both ministers called out the federal government for the fact that more needs to be done to fix this national problem. Minister, do you agree that more needs to be done to move older Australians out of hospital and into the aged care system?
Thank you, Senator Ruston. Minister McAllister.
Thank you, President. Well, as I indicated in my answer to Senator Ruston's primary question, a great deal needs to be done in the aged care system because of the neglect that characterised your approach to this policy area during your very long period in government. It was the finding of the Royal Commission, and we moved very swiftly on coming to government to start to address it. It's meant bringing in new legislation, it's meant providing new resourcing, and it's meant working carefully to ensure that the workforce is available to support people and to deal with the ageing population. All of those demographic signs were there when you were in government, Senator Ruston.
Minister McAllister,
all of that information
please resume your seat. Senator Ruston, I've lost count of the times I've called you. I've also asked you to stop the running commentary. So for the remaining 20 seconds, please be quiet. Minister McAllister, please continue.
Thank you, President. So, yes, we intend to continue to work, as we have done from the very first moment of coming to government, on building the aged care system so that it is fit for purpose and so it can meet the needs of Australia's ageing population and make sure our people have the care that they deserve.
Thank you, Minister. Minister Wong.
Thank you, President. And I ask that further questions be placed on notice.